yeah.
Okay. Let's go over to SimBrief.
You might want to lose that American livery, though.
Why is that?
Yeah, they're not going to fly a A320 American in Germany.
Not allowed or something?
Well, one thing, you wouldn't be allowed to. Second thing is you wouldn't fly there with an A320. And
Oh,
especially flying between... Yes, it is normally a special privilege that is rarely ever granted to airlines for a foreign airline to fly between two places in a foreign country.
really?
Yep. Rules of the... freedoms of the air
Hmm.
is what they're called.
Maybe I should load the Fire Department of New York JetBlue and say it's a special occasion.
Well, sure. I mean, the point is essentially you can't ferry passengers around, but you can, of course, fly there alone if you really want to.
Yeah.
If you want to burn fuel, go ahead.
I didn't know that. This is Studio A shtick. All right, this is probably more appropriate. Oh, it's white. That's not good. We don't want that one. I thought it was Lufthansa. All right. Delta would work, wouldn't it? No, Delta wouldn't work.
Don't you have any European ones? Air Berlin, even though they're kaput, but whatever.
Well, Air New Zealand. Where is the Lufthansa? Did it go away?
I don't think it's included in the default install anymore.
Oh.
That was just a temporary thing.
All right.
But I mean, you got, let's see.
I'm just
You
doing
got lots
Global
of
Sim
American,
Alliance.
Air Berlin or GSA would be fun. Sure.
Okay.
I mean, you can be you can be a private flight, of course.
It's a sim. You can probably pretty much do. I mean, you can. Even, I heard you can even drink when you're flying, like alcohol.
Really? I heard.
Yeah.
Wait. I've seen some streamers smoke weed.
I have seen that too.
Names.
Okay, so EDDM to
EDDT tag.
No, it's Bravo.
Schönefeld is closed, I think, or is it still in service? EDDB is. So there's two airports in Berlin. There's Tegel and then there's Schönefeld.
Okay.
And I think Schönefeld was supposed to be closed at some point either this year or next year. But I keep forgetting the exact sort of situation that's there. So you can fly any one of those, really.
SimBrief is hanging on me putting this in there. It's like thinking. Yeah, I think I'll rock the Taylor Swift livery today from Boise or Salt Lake or something, or Riverside, one of those three. We're gonna definitely go on to Pilot Edge next. It timed out. That's weird. A320. Is SimBrief being weird for anyone else right now?
Works for me.
Pat's got a question for you about putting in.
Yeah, he wants to be. So he's talking about told him to be 11,000 feet, 11 nautical miles northwest of Fillmore VOR. How do you put that into the MCDU? I'd have to check. Hang on. I'm not sure. There is a syntax for creating a VOR referenced fix, but I need to check that in the documentation because I don't really use that all that often.
All right, I think I've got a route finally. Anchor
Awesome.
9 November, Anchor Y104 Memor UL 130. Okay, looks good to me. Kilograms. What's your standard departure runway for Munich, I wonder? Yep, 26 right to work. Sure.
Jason App explained that. I keep forgetting. It's one of the. I know the Boeing syntax, but I keep forgetting about the Airbus syntax for defining a waypoint using navigate slash radial slash distance. He's not getting. Jason App, you're not getting RA radial altimeter callouts. I don't know. Might be another one of those X-Plan 1110 quirks.
All right. Are you going to be flying with me or just talking to me first?
I'm not right now. I'm not really set up to go flying.
Okay. No worries.
I'm kind of in the middle of developing something.
Special.
Not really something special. I was just testing out the A320 with my latest TCAS fix for JSNAP specifically. He submitted a bug report to me, and I've had a look at that. I couldn't recreate it exactly, but I noticed a bunch of broken stuff in there, so I fixed that. Hopefully,
nice.
Hopefully we'll have that fixed soon.
Okay, ground power unit on. Fuel. We'll call the fuel truck.
Yeah, Jason App's kind of. He's really talented in getting stuff to break.
All right, the fuel truck's coming up. Block fuel is 6660. Okay, I need to take a break. Can you entertain my crowd for just a bit? I'll be back.
Sure. Usually people just need to ask me tons and tons of questions. So
yeah.
If you folks,
I'll be
you
right
find
back.
people want to ask me something, go ahead.
Thanks. I'll be right back.
No worries. Yeah, Jason. Fortunately, so the problem was there basically that the reason why you're not getting when TCAS is a bit of a problem, why you're not getting the sim crashing is because TCAS is running in a separate thread, so it doesn't lock up the simulator. And when that thread encounters, it basically tries to call abort, then you will get the thread is just blocking, it pops up a window, and as long as you don't click on that window, it'll just sit there and wait. The reason why you had that stuck contact on there was because obviously, well, the TCAS implementation itself was stuck, so it couldn't remove, it couldn't update the ND with new contact info. So yeah, that was about the situation there that you encountered. Always fun when you have bugs, isn't it? Anybody else want to know anything? Any questions about the A320? Please don't ask me when it's going to come out for public release, because I don't know. I can't tell you what I don't know. As long as you don't mind, well, as long as you would mind me if I lie to you. If you don't mind me lying to you, I can make something up, but it'll be not true. I have not slept much, no. Ultimate, I'm gonna ban you. It won't come out in the next 5 minutes, I can tell you that for sure. Oh, come on, J-Snap. That is certainly not what I said. That's just happening in your head. Everybody hears whatever they want to hear. Let's talk about some other plane. I don't know. Yeah, sure. Uh, I can't tell you, Tommy, whether there's going to be save states. Whether there's going to be save states that come with the airplane. There's already one in there, which would be the ready to fly, or the start with engines running. That state is actually a save state within the airplane. What I do think is going to happen in the plane is that there's going to be the ability to save. There's going to be the ability to reload states without reloading position. Because right now, the save state system is linked such that you cannot load without reloading the position as well. But it does support that. There is the possibility to do that exactly for the purpose of reloading panel states on the ground. Did we have access to Airbus software? Definitely not. I can tell you that for sure. That was just a hypothesis of AirSim Gaming's, and it was a hypothesis that, as I can tell you for sure, 100% completely wrong. It is an amazing testament to CERT's ability to program really, really well that it had AirSim Gaming fooled, but no, it is a completely custom implementation. There's no Airbus software running in the airplane. It wipes out your save states. That shouldn't normally happen, but I'm going to have to check. Normally, it shouldn't wipe out your save states. JSnap, yeah, it should be made possible within the GUI. It's already possible if you go through the debug console, but right now it is the ability to reload states without reloading position is not exposed through the EFB GUI.
It's okay, I'm back. All right. Block fuel 6660s loaded. Passengers, do gate, config, call up. When you click on gate and it says request the air stairs, that doesn't make sense. But
what do you mean?
Like it says air stairs, and it has stairs or gate, right? But when it's a gate, there are no stairs. So what are you you calling up with the LF? Left front,
you're
left
calling
front,
up the left forward door.
You're just saying this, so this should be maybe door as well, labeled door. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, the name of the I guess the name of the section there shouldn't be air stairs. It should be, I don't know, doors or something like that.
Yeah. So okay, all right, we'll go 2/3 full.
You know, you can file a bug on it.
I'm just wondering if it's a bug or if it's just not a bug. It's just a obsessive compulsive John fly.
It's perfectly fine to file bugs about things that you believe are wrong. And here I'd say every developer, this will defer to you since you are a native speaker.
It was cool how they did change all of the typos and additions on the overhead when I submitted all those. That was pretty cool. I was happy about that. All right, passengers are loaded.
JSnap, you can find the relevant information on how to use the console to reload states without positions on the bug tracker I can send you a link to the relevant story there. But as I said, ultimately we do want to have this exposed over the FBUI.
Yeah, W28. No, I know not all gates have an air bridge or a jetway or you know, all that stuff. I'm just saying that in this case, when I click on gate, I should not be clicking on call the stairs, is what I'm saying. So, yeah. But sometimes we'll load stairs up. Like I loaded stairs up the other day at a field that didn't have gates or
jetways.
Jetways, yeah. Hey, Cirrus Max, how you doing? Okay, battery 1 on, battery 2 on, external power on.
Petrol, the question on how to read the FF320 documentation before buying the thing, it's very, very easy. The documentation is the same documentation that you would have if you were flying a real Airbus. So, the airplane currently does not come with documentation. That is an intentional decision. And if you want to, as was in the original announcement for the airplane on the org forum, the airplane is not for people who are completely new to flight simming. Quite honestly, you have to be able to fly an Airbus pretty much in order to be able to enjoy the full capacity of this airplane. So there's no easy modes, there's no tutorials or anything like that. It is meant to be as close to a reproduction for a training simulator as humanly possible.
Global Sim Alliance 572. World Tour. Cost index. Well, SimBrief gave us a cost index of 5. Okay.
Yeah, I probably put in way too long of a flight in terms of time, so it thought like, well, we got plenty of time. 5 is the lowest cost index. Yeah, B2, you got it exactly right. You just buy an A320, just copy the docs, and just return the thing back to Airbus. That's extremely simple. It's just like that. We all do it.
All right, flying eastbound. So, what did we say? This is like 300, maybe.
Cirrus Max, sorry.
3-1.
There's a ton of questions. Sorry, for the flight level there to Berlin, you could easily go 3-1, 3-3, 3-5.
Okay.
I'd say 3-5-0 would be fine. 3-3-0 would be also fine. 3-0 is a little low. Anything higher than that, you might be struggling a little bit to get the flight low to cruise before descent. But 3-3 to 3-5 should be perfectly fine.
I'll do 3-1.
Cirrus, cool. Cirrus was asking about whether there's any problem with turning on ground power. Specifically, there's not really a problem, although the procedure always specifies to turn on battery 1 and battery 2 before you turn on ground power, because that way you know if you have a dead battery. Because if you only turn on the ground power and then the batteries immediately go to recharge. Whereas if you turn on the batteries first, then you will see if they die or if there's a problem with too much of a voltage drop, which would indicate a battery that is pretty much kaput.
Just putting in a squawk code 2552.
Sure. You can find the A320 manuals on various websites. Smart Cockpit has some of them. You can find one on for the FMS on 737.co.uk, I think, or Orca UK or whatever the name of there is.
All right, EDDM departure. We're going 26 right. We're doing the Anka 9 November. Yep, that one there. Does European AirX the updates do they make as many changes as the US
Europe
does?
is a little bit less frequent in terms of changes.
That's okay. All right, Anchor 9. That looks good. Insert that. That'll take us down to Anchor. And then we're going to go to Airway Y104. to Memor, Mike Alpha, Mike Oscar, Romeo. After Memor, we're going to, well, put that in there. And then we'll do, sure, Memor, another airway. This will be UL132 to Rudno, Romeo, Uniform, Delta, November, Oscar.
Just to explain to Ultimate Simulation in terms of why airlines don't sell their airplanes, their old airplanes for a few $1,000s. They do, but not for a few thousand. You can buy a used Airbus A320 for, if you're willing to fork out maybe 5 million. You'll get a perfectly functional one. But the thing is, the replacement parts on these jets are so expensive, and the spares are so expensive that, for instance, even on an old 747-200 series, just the front heated windshield will easily run you 20 grand. So they don't, yeah, they fly them to the Mojave Desert, but then don't actually leave them there fully functional. They gut them. So the things that you see in the Mojave Desert there usually don't have engines anymore. That's the most expensive part. And they usually don't have interiors. Most of the avionics is completely gone, so it's essentially an empty cockpit at that point. So yeah, those things, they look like planes, but they can't really fly.
Okay, Berlin arrival. Looks like low IFR, but I'm on Kavik just for my testing of ortho. I'll do the 2.6 right. Sure. And we'll do the CUDA 4V. And what are all these DTs?
Those are RNAV points.
Okay.
So if you look on the charts, you'll see that, by the way, in Europe, usually you don't file, and oftentimes you don't initially program a SID or a star, because in Europe, the SID that you get is pretty much dependent on the runway which you get almost, almost with the start of a clearance. So oftentimes you sort of have to be able to plan and change for if there's multiple runways being used for departures.
Okay.
Usually, though, there's only one, so you can sort of assume what you're going to get.
Okay.
However, the DT, DM, whatever points, LL, those are literally just sequential numbers of waypoints, because an RNAV departure has so many points on it. Like an RNAV SID will easily have 20 fixes on it. They don't want to, and it's only used on that SID. It's nowhere else. It's not used for en route navigation. It's not used for directs. Nothing like that. So it doesn't really make sense to assign them some sort of memorable name, because it's never gonna get used. So essentially, all you're just doing is you're using some sort of a 2-letter prefix just to make it somewhat unique, and just assign sequential numbers. And you can even consecutive points like DT00053 and DT054 don't even have to be part of the same SID or even at the same airport. They're literally there's just a big table that the authorities publish with a sequential list of like RNAV point coordinates something, another RNAV point coordinates something, and it's just it's a database. It's something for a computer to work with, but humans never actually have to read it out loud.
Okay.
At least not on the radios.
You're not going to get a direct Delta Mike 104.
Rarely, if ever.
Okay.
Usually these RNAV departures and procedures are designed such that you fly them almost completely coupled. And directs are not preferred there because the procedure is designed as a pretty complicated three-dimensional structure that tries to vector you around various arrival routes. So they try to give lots and lots of directs there, then they would run the risk of basically messing up their arrival and departure structure.
A little bit different over there. Fuel pumps coming on, barrel set, altimeter or altitude. I'll set altitude. It's going to follow the constraints.
Trim for takeoff can be found on the EFB. I don't know if John showed that before for this flight, though he might. It's on the perf tab, on the perf data, and on the bottom left you'll see the takeoff weight CG index, and then you take that index and you read the appropriate CG setting on the trim wheel around your throttles, and that's what you want to set for takeoff. As for flex, however, that is a completely different thing. Flex is dependent on so many variables that the airplane doesn't know about. The flex calculators in the real world are fairly complicated pieces of software that the airlines have designed for themselves, for them by special software houses that specialize in this kind of stuff. And the flex temp will depend on tons of performance values for the specific airplane. So, for instance, it's pretty common for by the way, John, you wouldn't want to turn on the APU bleed before the APU is running, but whatever, it's fine.
Okay, so should I wait until EDDT?
Normally, you'd wait until it's available.
Until available, okay.
Yeah. Anyways, doesn't really matter right now.
No, but I like to be as accurate as possible.
Normally,
what's going to happen if I turn that bleed on? What are the symptoms of that?
I'm trying to think. If you don't have engines running, it shouldn't really cause much of anything. But I don't know if there's a one-way check valve on the APU if the engines are bleeding air into the system. What might happen? There might be. So normally, when you turn on the APU bleed, it shuts off the engine bleeds. So that is automatic. So once you hit the APU bleed, even though the APU is not running, if you had engines feeding your packs, if you've been running engines, then it'll immediately probably shut off the engine bleeds, and for about 30 seconds to 1 minute while the APU is starting up, you're not going to have any bleed in the system, and your packs are basically going to shut off.
Okay.
So that's why it's on.
B2 says the plane blows up, so no worries.
Yeah, sure. Detonates. Anyways, just to finish my rant there about TopCat and takeoff performance calculation, many of the airlines, for instance, the performance tools are specific to the airline and specific to their fleet, even to the point where the individual airplane's age is considered, and you have to enter the registration of your airplane in order for the thing to know which specific airframe you're flying. And therefore, it is not possible for the FlightFactor A320 to include that kind of a calculation tool, because it really depends on much airline policy, many SOPs. For instance, what the rejection boundaries are, what the flaps preference is. Many airlines, for instance, United prefers on Boeings to take off flap 5, even though they could use flaps 1. It's just their policy to always depart at least flaps 5 on 737s. So it really depends on a lot of these kinds of like finer points. That's why FlightFactor would be sort of hard pressed to provide a tool that would do it justice if they were sort of designing this tool sort of on the side. That's why there are specialist tools like TopCat and PFPX that are designed to do that are just focused on this one thing and one thing only, which is to calculate takeoff performance and plan flights.
Don't turn on packs with the ditching switch engaged. Okay. How do you even taxi over there? Ah, okay.
There's the this is where you are right now. This is a non-movement area, and there's connection points that pass over the highway onto the taxiways. So you're gonna be taxiing. So if you go tail right, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
On to cockpit. Plan acknowledged. Call me through the menu when you're ready.
Oh, who's
Correct.
who's the German talking to me? In the tug.
I keep forgetting. It's somebody who submitted a voice pack for me for Better Pushback.
On to cockpit.
You never heard? You've never
Driving
been
up.
Better Pushbacking in Germany before?
Nope.
Well, there's always a first time, I guess.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of funny. You've never better pushbacked in Germany, huh? Like it's some sort of drug or something. You've never better pushbacked in Germany. No, first time.
Of course, the best kinds of better pushbacking happen at airports. Preferably not in the lavatories, though. And it is a Lufthansa labeled tug, of course.
Oh.
Because Lufthansa ground services provides ground services at Munich.
Okay. All doors and hatches are closed. Ready to connect. Set. Parking brake.
Parking brake set.
Well, no, Barbara, you don't have to guess. The thing is, you have to, in order to get it right, you have to have a performance tool that is specific to your airline. And that is quite a bit outside of the scope of developing the airplane. Airbus doesn't provide a performance calculation tool. It's the airlines that do. Now, Airbus will give you a bunch of very complex tables that'll tell you accelerate stop distances for airplanes as they come off the assembly line. Well, an average, basically. But, for instance, Airbus doesn't tell you how the engines will age in terms of takeoff performance. Airbus cannot tell you how your zero fuel weight loadout, the way you arrange the cabin, is going to impact your takeoff performance. That's what the airlines have to pay big money for, to have that sort of calculation developed and tested and certified. So that's why these pieces of software are not easy to come by. They're super duper proprietary. Even more so than the airplane.
Oh, apparently the BP beep did well in Burbank, says J Snap.
Well, that's the way it's supposed to work.
Hey, Bucky. Yeah, I love the confidence of Totoritko. That's the way it's supposed to work. I love it.
Well, if it doesn't, of course, if it doesn't work, well, in that case, it's kind of egg on my face. But whatever.
or it's 11.10's fault.
Of course, always. It's always somebody else's fault.
By the way, for the record, I'm doing a PAX on engine start. So take that, people.
Of course. The packs will shut off automatically. If you look on the overhead, you'll see that they're amber fault when you're starting the engines.
Automation. Oop, oh, did a little bit of a dance there.
Whoop. Indeed. You are running 045, right?
Yes. Oh, no. Dang it. This is
Operation complete. Please set parking brake.
This is my European directory, so I may not have. I may have 4.4 in there.
Well, you can check in the preferences, but well, as long as you got is the thing.
It's fine. I mean, I'll update.
As long as it didn't blow up.
Yeah.
And I can see it finished the pushback without throwing you off a cliff, so I call that success.
Yeah, it looks like I'm October 31st. Yeah. So I need to update there. Okay, that's fine. All right, let's start number 2. Or number 1, I mean.
Did you update the plane itself before flying it today?
Yeah,
well,
look at the trace.
Ah, yeah, I can see that. Well, I mean, I pushed an update for the TCAS implementation maybe 3 hours ago, so that's why I'm asking.
Was it so when you push it, does it go public for, or is there some sort of review board?
It goes public through the updater immediately.
Oh, okay. Now I updated yesterday, and it seemed like
I
a
see.
rather large update, but I haven't updated since yesterday.
Oh, I see. Hopefully it won't detonate on you.
Especially
well, then again,
with
you're not flying with anybody else around, so it doesn't really matter.
I'm also running beta 6, which is, I guess, is a no-no. So disclaimer, everyone, this is not a reflection on the plane. I'm not supposed to fly this plane under this version of X-Plane yet.
Yeah, X-Plane 11.10 beta 6 kind of screwed a lot of people.
But in this case, what is there anything specific with this plane in beta 6?
So the information that I had about beta 6 not working was about more than 24 hours old. So it's possible that CERT sort of issued an emergency fix for that, for the problem that was in beta 6. However, so you're running beta 6 right now, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so if it's working, then that's cool. Because what I heard last time I looked at this, which was about a day ago, beta 6 was basically crashing the airplane. So that was a little bit of a problem. But apparently they fixed it very, very quickly. So yeah, hopefully it'll work.
Flaps 1, trim set, spoilers armed. We'll do a flight control check now. Left and right aileron, pitch trim.
And you can see your trim
Pitch,
setting on
elevator.
your...
Yeah, I should be 0. I said, yeah, there's 0.
I don't know, what did you set for? What did you read on the performance tables?
I didn't really go off of it. I wanted to be controversial.
Oh my!
But on the perf data, it does show 20. I'm assuming it's like 27.6. And so if I look,
takeoff weight is 28.62. It's on the index. If you read that on the bottom left, there's the index table, and then you have the takeoff weight line.
And so I thought I had to go off this blue line up here at the top of the. I thought that's what I was supposed to go off of.
I don't know. Maybe I'm doing it completely wrong myself. I haven't looked at the exact code that this particular table operates, but as far as I can understand, the index table on the lower left is what you want to look at.
Yeah, we're pretty close. Yep.
Yeah, it should be pretty close anyway. Yeah, around 30% is roughly 0, I think.
Taxi light on. Runway light turn off, lights on. Auto brake set to max. And APU bleed off. And then I wait a little bit before I turn the master switch off, or
on the APU, you can on the A320 you can turn it off immediately.
Okay.
The A320 has an automatic cooldown, and it's fully controlled, the APU here, unlike on the 737.
Takeoff config normal. All right, everyone, I gotta turn on my TARA later on. Okay.
Disconnecting tow, stand by.
W20 is explaining what flex takeoff is and or derated takeoffs. Yeah, it's not just a waste of fuel. I mean, yes, the engines are a little bit more efficient if you don't run them quite 100% flat out all the way. But the reason, one of the primary reasons, is longevity of the components. The engines do not take the primary wear factor on them is heat, and so the hotter they run, the more wear they sustain, and it basically goes like almost like by a third or fourth power in terms of temperature above a certain value. So if the engine's running at full-on juice all the way, all the time, it can easily cut your the longevity of the components and increase your maintenance by many multiples of just like just a difference of, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2% on the temperature. So let's say rather than running 650 degrees during takeoff, you're running 620 degrees. Just that 30-degree delta over time can easily cut your service life or increase your service life by a factor of 2 to 3. Yeah, exactly like JSNAP says. A lot of chemical processes depend on temperature to the 4th power. And there's a great paper by Boeing out that essentially analyzes this. It is available on the online if you wanna look at it. And so, for instance, if you overtemp an engine, it won't blow up immediately. It depends really on the amount of overtemp that you give it, and the increasing temperature will wear the engine down exponentially faster and faster, such that beyond a certain temperature point, say like an engine that's designed for an EGT of max 850 degrees, if you go over, I don't know, say 1200 degrees, the engine will basically survive for a couple of seconds and then it'll melt. But if you go, say, to 1000 or 900 degrees, it will still survive for like hundreds of hours, although the normal service interval would be 5,000 hours. So it really depends on the amount of overtemp.
Do airlines that fly planes with different engine variants use the same flex temperature? I think that's, again, airline specific.
Not necessarily, and it really depends not just on the with different engine options, definitely no. No. Different engine options provide completely different thrust profiles with the flex. So there you totally need to tailor that to the specific airplane. No, I'm sorry, to the specific engine model. Oh, well, not even just the engine model. Frequently, the takeoff performance flex numbers, or D rates, even at the Boeing equivalents, would require you, if you want to get it like completely right. Many of these are dependent on factors such as the specific airframe you're flying, so the specific engines that are attached to that airplane. The airline does know the amount of wear that they have sustained, and they will adjust the performance calculations accordingly in order to take into account, for instance, that the engine will lose a couple of % of performance over time. And all of these calculations have to be certified. These performance calculators are not something you can just code on your side or sort of on your whim. They have to go through certification testing before they are approved for use in cockpit.
I'm thinking, though, that even the same exact engine type, exact same brand, model, make, whatever, different airlines are going to have different numbers for their their SOP. Yeah.
Well, the SOPs, for instance, can specify the required takeoff margin, or for instance specify that under certain conditions they will never take off with a certain amount of D rate. So it really depends on what the airline has defined, and it's that code in the performance calculator that is specific to that airline, is tailored to the way they use the airplane. And again, as I said before, kind of like a broken record, all of these decisions and these policies undergo certification from the respective regulatory authorities, so that your airlines are not just flying the airplane however their pilots feel like them. Things like, you know, your SOP at the airline, that's not just somebody who just thought up.
Sorry, I just texted onto the grass. Don't recommend that.
Yeah, I saw that. So all these SOPs and stuff like that, you know, the individual callouts, all of that is certified and has to be sort of specified in the requisite documentation and presented to your regulatory authority to be approved for use in real airline operations. It's not just a matter of like some chief pilot just saying, I like it like this, and that's how we're going to do it from now. No, it actually has to go through committee. You could essentially say that the airline industry is the most regulated industry out there besides nuclear. The only thing that's more regulated than airlines are nuclear.
Certainly not pharmaceutical.
Yep.
Someone told me the other day that there are 2 countries that allow public television advertisements for prescription drugs. One is the United States and one is New Zealand. Is that true? I don't know.
Is that somewhere in the comments?
No, I just pulled that out of my head from the other day. Someone said that. I wasn't sure. I guess, yeah, is it? Do you have advertisement for prescription drugs over in Europe?
No, it's illegal.
Okay.
There's a lot of things that you can't advertise around here. It depends on the exact country that you're in. For instance, many countries don't allow advertising on TV for alcohol. Some countries relax it for soft liquors, which would be something like beer, maybe wine, but not spirits. And for instance, here in Slovakia, you cannot advertise for anything besides like beer. So anything above about 10% proof number is going to be a no-no.
There's a de-icing gate up here. Wow.
Yeah, I can see that. It's awesome.
So cool.
To make it functional at some point.
So it's true then. I guess New Zealand and the U.S. are the ones that the thing. I think I may be making this up, but I think in the U.S. when you advertise alcohol, whether it be beer, wine, or spirits, in the advertisement itself, you actually can't show consumption of the alcohol. You can show people having this great time, party, holding a beer or a cocktail or whatever, but you actually can't show someone drinking it in an advertisement. I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it really depends on your advertising standards body, what they say. And it's really varied across the world. There's no like one way to do it. Yeah. But I've never heard any country besides the US that does prescription drug advertisement on TV or on radio. So I mean, I don't know, I can't validate that, but I think there might be some truth to that statement.
That's pretty much my life right there in a nutshell. There might be some truth to that statement. All right, I don't want altimeter. I want to check frame rates here. Yeah, this could be an 11. This could be a public beta 6 thing, but every once in a while I get a frame hit. On runway
26 right.
Yeah, I saw somebody mention in the comments earlier that beta 5 had better frame rates than beta 6, so it's really hard.
All right, let's turn on our TARA. Threat assessment. Oh. Go strobes on, landing lights on, takeoff light. USA says enjoy responsibly or drink responsibly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That restriction is part of NAFTA? Really?
Could be.
Wow.
I mean, in the U.S., I know there's a lot of weasel words they have to put in the advertisements to basically shield themselves from lawsuits. So things like talk to your doctor or consult your doctor, so they can't be immediately seen to be endorsing usage of that
On
product, they
runway
say, you know, just talk
26
talk
right.
to your
On
doctor. They'll
runway
tell you.
26
Then, of
right.
course, the thing they don't tell you is that that the drug companies bribe the doctors essentially to give you really, really nasty prescription drugs, but whatever.
This excellent lighter fluid tastes great and looks good in a cup. Yeah, Jason out. All right, let's see if we can take off, even though I got a frame rate problem. Maybe it could be related to the airport, because it's a pretty intense airport. I'm going to save state, though. Okay, speaking of saving states, let me just do this here. So this is EDDM runway. When you update the plane, does it erase your saved states? Is that what I've been running into? And can you retrieve those from the previous? Like if I copied an older version to a directory, I could.
You don't even have to copy an older version. I mean, I don't know why it's erasing the save states. It shouldn't really do that, but it's possible that it's been sort of modified to do that in case the save states are inconsistent between versions. But you can, if you really, really want to. Save states are sitting over in /data/states under the airplane. Sorry, state, and there's a bunch of .asb files which are basically just the states that you see in the EFB. It's just these files, and if you back them up and then sort of shovel them back in, then they should appear back in the EFB. Now, I'm not going to make any promises that you're going to be able to load them.
Yeah.
But you might. You know,
all right.
give it a try.
Under state. Okay. Yeah. I see where it's used the ones I've named. Okay. I can see how, though, if certain states stuff changes from version to version, I could see that.
Yeah. Exactly. So I don't know. It might be possible that the state actually might have a version number baked into it, in which case the airplane will just flat out refuse to load the state.
Yeah.
So I haven't tried it between states, to be honest. So yeah.
W28, you love how the listing of the side effects, on the advertisements, I'm getting.
And of course, they have.
I'm kind of getting sick of the advertisements. Like I watch the Golf Channel a lot, and there seem to be a lot of ED advertisements. I guess it's the demographic.
And I love how, since they need to pay for the commercial time, including the list of side effects, then they basically just rattle them off as fast as they can. It's probably just even sped up like
in the most pleasant voice
times.
possible. Yeah. Okay. Parking brake is off. We're gonna try to get up to flex. Could you remind me when to go into thrust climb?
And once it flashes THR CLB on you on the PFT.
Okay.
So it'll on the left window there, it'll say thrust climb right underneath thrust toga once you engage power or under main flex. It'll blink there. Don't worry about it. Recently, though, I did talk Jay Snap through the whole takeoff procedure. So he's total Airbus takeoff crew at this point.
Nice. Some people don't like this outside view, but oh, look at that. Oh, snack. See you, Munich. Alright, so no, I'm still in flex 40, and okay, now I can go climb. Now it says lever climb. Do I go to thrust climb now?
Yep.
There we go. Sweet. Hey, Creeth, Alex, how you doing? Disarm spoilers.
Yeah, that's part of the after takeoff procedures. Is lights off, disarm spoilers, verify gear up.
I'm not going to turn the lights off until about 10,000.
JSnap, there's basically no ramifications for you when you decide to go off the takeoff performance back to climb power early. It's really just a reminder what it's telling you there. The point is that it doesn't really change your takeoff profile. The SRS system will still maintain your V2 plus 10 speed, or at least it'll try, by giving you the appropriate command. So if you suddenly reduce power, then the airplane will naturally try to dip its nose down. The flight director will basically command you to go a little bit nose down in order to maintain V2 plus 10. But really what you're doing is you're basically just hurting your chances in case of an engine problem, because you're basically just reducing your climb performance at a time when the most important thing you want to have is climb performance. One wire lad, like I said at the start of the stream, I can tell you because I don't know when the airplane is going to be available for the general public. There's problems being fixed all the time. So I guess once the set of problems with the airplane slows down to sort of a trickle, I guess at that point the guys are going to be comfortable with releasing it to more wider testing. But pretty much the purpose of this early beta status is to allow for wider testing with more hands and more eyes. And as long as those hands and eyes are able to find problems with the airplane, then the developers are not going to be comfortable with releasing a, well, presumably a broken product to a wider audience. They wouldn't be considering that to be moral. So it really comes down to how quickly the testing the test phase goes through, and how quickly all the bugs can be weeded out. Sorry if I don't have a more sort of direct answer for you, but frankly, I don't know myself. John, what's the problem? Is the airplane too loud for you?
In these headphones, I got a lot of noise in my ears. Tim Rodeo, hello. Yeah, I think that there's two things that I've changed that are causing this occasional drop in frame rates. And a disclaimer, I'm not supposed to be using this version of X-Plane. But it looks like it's about 36 frames most of the time. But then every few, like for a second or two, it drops to 15 frames for a second. And it could be related to two different things. One is I went to Windowed Simulator for the first time, and two, I'm running Public Beta 6, which you're not supposed to run in this plane right now. So I may need to revert back to... it seemed to be pretty solid under Beta 5, though, this plane.
Oh, it worked reasonably well, I guess, yeah. But I'm still running 11.05 for the A320. Fortunately for me, I have multiple operating systems on which I have X-Plane installed, so I'm running 11.10 Beta 5 on my Linux install, because there I'm not running the FF320. So there I don't really care about if it's broken or not in Linux, because there's no Linux version out yet. I hope there will be at some point, but I don't know about the word on that if it's going to be for sure. I am certainly going to lobby hard for that, because I'm a Linux user myself. Somebody was asking about the TBM, I think, earlier. I don't know if it was Tim or no, it was somebody else. Yeah, the TBM is coming along nicely, although it will, it's still not quite ready even to show off to people. So I don't want to be, getting into rants about that. I'd love to have it ready and ready for release tomorrow, but unfortunately there's so much work that needs to be done. And I do plan to make it really kind of a unique specimen in terms of the general aviation world on X-Plane, and probably even across all simulations.
And all proceeds that are made by that plane are going to go to fund Pilot Edge scholarships worldwide. I'm spreading rumors, falsehoods.
Sure.
I just didn't. I love the idea of the freeware, the donationware, but it'd be cool to see some money go back to be able to maybe pay other people to help you with some other things, like, you know, the Val dudes or the other people that do PBR and this, that, and the other down the road. Because time is a precious thing, and if you can outsource some of the refinement of the plane over time and be able, you know, support that way, that's a good use of money that could potentially come in from the plane.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I do plan on engaging at least 1 or 2 other people. I'm not going to talk about it here on stream, on who that's going to be. But I know, John, you're going to be on the testing team.
Thank you. I would love it. I also want to be head of marketing, and I want to have a salary of 1 snack per year to be the head of marketing for the new TBM productions.
Come on, don't undersell yourself. It's going to be at least 1 snack a month.
1 snack a month. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. There's a new trend that is starting to happen with Twitch, and that is more and more devs are actually coming in live, right? So for you to be here with me when we're flying a plane that you're intimately familiar with and have participated in the development of, and also the Better Pushback plugin, it's just a value add that you're here talking about all of these projects. Yesterday we had a brand new X-Plane developer company debut their product on Twitch for the first time on the Johnfly stream, and the dev was in the chat, and we flew the plane, and he was engaging with us, and it was amazing to have a cert and Ramses in my chat, and you know, a couple weeks back. Yeah, they were not happy with maybe some of my procedures, but I think all in all, it was pretty cool that they were in the chat, chiming in with suggestions and insight. And Mr. X, GPB 500, you've got JSnap, who's good with the shared cockpit and all these different things. It's just really cool that we have this community that's seeing Twitch as a value add. So yeah, when we're ready to roll out some test flights with the TBM, having you live on the chat is going to be really a nice value add.
Yep, I hope to be there.
We also had a reaching out from Aerosphere Simulations. They wanted me to fly their products on stream and make some videos. Aerobask has done the same thing, and of course we're having great sponsorship from the org store. So I think this is a great time for X-Plane, and heck, there's even Orbex rumors going on.
Yeah, they're presumably working on something. They released it in kind of a stumbly way, to be honest. That info sort of like
accidental.
They almost they kind of tripped over it and then sort of fell flat on the face, and then it kind of got out like, I don't know, a fart under a blanket. But apparently they've returned back to X-Plane, or at least trying to do something there.
If the company wants to make some money, it's not a bad direction to go. I think that they should focus on only airports, though, for their debut. But that's just my opinion.
Jaylee was asking me about cockpit textures, how rough they are.